Hello, friends, neighbors, brothers and sisters in Christ. Welcome to the Unto Thee, O Lord Ministries YouTube channel. What kind of friends should we have? Are we told to not to be unequally yoked? Of course we are. But how about even within the Christian realm? Are we to keep Christians regardless of their beliefs as friends? I am going to show you a sample of something where I have drawn the line. This is a PM conversation between Jason and I. He is the admin and I think creator of so many inane statements. Let's see here if I still have that. Yeah, right here. He is the admin of so many inane statements. About a week ago, let's see here. No, that's not. Oh, there it is. Thursday. Yeah, that was not even a week ago. Out of the blue, he asked me if I need help with my sermons, and I, of course, asked, "What kind of help are you thinking?" He then tells me to tell him what I am preaching. I have told him, and I did say that some of the things that I am preaching may be controversial. Like, for example, that Adam and Eve was not the first humans, but the first humans to our genealogy. I will be doing a separate video on that soon to then explain. And he then starts to ridicule me. Why don't I follow Paul's example? He teaches, or he then explains very, very briefly Ephesians. Well, while he was typing this, I have made this comment, and then he makes a very bold statement. We are dead to the Ten Commandments. And the Antichrist is never a topic in the New Testament. Well, I hate to burst his little bubble. Let me open up eSword, and I may have to go ahead and adjust it so that it is in the screenshot that I am doing. But it is apparently he has never looked or it has never been preached on. And for some reason eSword is very slow and I should have had this opened before I've started. I am sorry guys. But let's see here. It's in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John where the word itself, Antichrist, is therefore mentioned. The concept of Antichrist is mentioned also elsewhere because in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, once that of the eSword gets open, I can tell you for sure. that's where it is. Here, okay, here it comes. But it speaks of two actual different antichrists. So I will open up a search window. And I will type in, and I've got it on the King James heading, so I will be able to see. Okay, yes, I was correct. First and Second John, little children. Okay, let me move it into screenshot. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist. That is why there are many antichrists. Okay, this is one definition of antichrist. He that denieth the Father and the Son. Okay, now the other definition of the antichrist, plural or not plural. These verses are talking about the plural antichrist, or at least two of them is First John 2:18, First John 2:22, and Second John 1:7. And and First John 4:3 speaks of two. He confesseth not that Jesus Christ cometh in the flesh. And then this is the spirit of Antichrist. Wherefore, wherefore ye have heard that it should come. Okay, wait a minute. This is a future tense, while these three are present tense. And then he also speaks, even now already is in the world. Okay, so this verse speaks of both the one that confesses not that Jesus is the Antichrist and the spirit of Antichrist, the singular. This right here is a basis of a theory I spoke with to one of my college teachers, because in the New Testament it speaks of the Pharisees, it speaks of the uh, Sadducees. Okay, what I first thought was that both the Pharisees and the Sadducees became one and have created the Catholic Church. well, well, the teacher said that there is one problem with that theory, that of the it is a let's say Pharisees retained the old Messianic control over the temple. And so now, as you find a Messianic Jew, their priests are still of the it is of let's say Pharisees. which would go all the way back to the tribe of Levi. And so I have had to redefine my theory that it is let's just Sadducees is the one that have created the Catholic Church. And technically, historically speaking, that of the Emperor Constantine created the Catholic Church, but all the way until it was so-called officially the Catholic Church, there was likely two different churches between the first and between the first century and 321 AD, whenever Emperor Constantine created the Catholic Church. There was probably during that time frame two different churches, the ones in which the Sadducees have then created a false church, and then the true church. And but again, that is only a theory. There is no historical evidence for it, other than shortly after the destruction of the temple, there was no more. It is of it is of it is of Sadducees, but there is a lot of antichrist stuff going on. So it is just a theory. Is this going to get me a one-way ticket to hell? No, because I am just stating it's a theory. And and that I'm not pushing it as a belief. Okay? So, apparently, going back to the conversation, he doesn't know where to look specifically in the Bible to find Antichrist. Now, let's go back here and let's do something else. Let's do something else. I believe it is parallel. Nope, it is that of the compare tag. Let me shrink this down so that we can look. Oh, okay. So, so the ABP plus. No, let's just choose one here. Okay, let's just choose the first John 2:18. The ABP also has the term Antichrist. ASV has the Antichrist, the bishop, Antichrist, CEV. Just in case if I'm going a little too fast, here is Antichrist. But that is in brackets. Here is Antichrist out of brackets. Here is Antichrist for the ASV. Antichrist in the BBE. Bishops. Antichrist. CEV only says enemies, and so and so he may be using a CEV Bible. DeHarby, Antichrist. DRB, Antichrist. EMTV, Antichrist. ERV, it has enemies, so he might also have an ERV. ESV, Antichrist. ESV plus, Antichrist. That of the it is of Geneva Bible, Antichrist. GNB again does not have Antichrist, so you might have a GNB. GW, Antichrist. ISV, Antichrist. JUB, Antichrist. Of course, we know the King James has it. LEB, Antichrist. LITV, Antichrist. MKJV, Antichrist. The Murdoch says false messiahs. RV, Antichrist. TLV, anti-messiahs, at which technically Murdoch and the TLV are both saying Antichrist, okay? Because Messiah translated is Christ, so a false Christ or a anti-Christ. This one says anti-Messiah, so anti-Christ, okay? Because that of the translation of the term Messiah is Christ. Okay, the TS 2009 again has anti-Messiahs, which is translated Antichrist. WEB, Antichrist. WEBA, Antichrist. Webster's, Antichrist. Weymouth, Antichrist. Williams, Antichrist. Young's literal translation, Antichrist. So all of these Bibles, which is in the eSword as a part of the free package, there are others that you can pay for that you can add on, but there is 30 something right here. And we only found 2 that doesn't use the term Antichrist. This becomes a very neat little tool whenever you want to look up one verse and take a look at the different translations. We find Antichrist in almost all of them. So we have to wonder first, is he using one of those translations that doesn't use the term Antichrist? Or does he not read his Bible? Very interesting. So I have just got through debunking the Antichrist is never a topic in the New Testament argument. And as people that have watched many of my videos knows that I have already covered the 10 Commandments thing at least twice, and I then somewhere, okay, well, I don't know if I sent him a link to the actual video on it. We We shall see soon. It has been a few days. He is basically calling me a heretic. Topical teaching is not exemplified in the Bible. Huh. So, if that's the case, then I should not be able to find anything. Oh, darn, I found something. Isaiah 28:10. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little, and there a little. Oh, wait a minute. I think that I read it too fast. But here is the concept of topic preaching. So I guess I just proven him wrong again on the topical preaching. So I tell him, I think you should view the video I have on the Ten Commandments. It may change your mind on it. I follow the Bible, not men. You are actually accursed. And now he's not only calling me a heretic, he's calling me accursed. And teach a false gospel. Woe unto you, he saith. Okay, if that is what you think, then have a nice day. I am not here to then I'm not here to then satisfy a man's itching ear, and that is what he is trying to do here. Itching ears he has. He wants to listen to only what he wants to hear. And you can either leave my groups or be removed. Well, I have posted a warning on his group telling people to then get out because he teaches heresy and he hasn't kicked me out yet. That is a what is the word I'm looking for? A empty threat. You are so very wicked to the core. You invited me, so go ahead and kick out the truth if you want. I teach only the Bible and that you don't understand Isaiah 28:10, at which I just pointed that out to everybody here. Isaiah 28:10. That the Antichrist is spoken in the New Testament and the Ten Commandments are still valid even then. I don't want to be a part of your heresies. Paul said believers are dead to the law, Romans 7:6. False teachers claim they teach only the Bible too. Oops, what are we talking about here? False teachers claim they teach only from the Bible too. Didn't he just say the same basic thing? Uh-huh. I wonder if he caught himself in his own words yet. Read Galatians 1:8 and see that you are accursed. Watch the video. There are two different parts to the law. And I have sent him a meme that I have made separating the two, the same way that God separated the two in the Old Testament. The Ten Commandments was put into the ark, while the rest of the law was put to the side of the ark. They was separated at the ark by God. Why is everybody trying to merge them back together? Actually, the term back shouldn't have even been used. Why are people trying to merge them when God separated them at the beginning? Well, at the beginning of the nation of Israel, up until this point, there was only the Ten Commandments. Okay? And yes, the Ten Commandments can be found in the book of Genesis. If you look real hard, the Sabbath is found in Genesis 2, verses 2 and 3. Thou shalt not commit adultery is found whenever the queen tried to, it is let's just seduce Jacob and he ran. If that wasn't a sin, then why didn't Jacob do it? But the 10 is in the book of Genesis, just not in a simplified list as we find in Exodus 20 and also in Deuteronomy 5. Okay. Okay, it seems that you don't want to learn, so goodbye. You are the heretic, not me. Did Jesus dismiss the Ten Commandments? And if you are honest with yourself, you are going to say no. At the Sermon on the Mount, what did he do? He have added a new definition to a couple of the Ten Commandments. You've heard it said that thou shalt not kill. But I say unto you that if you hate your brother, you have committed murder in your heart. You've heard it said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say, and he added to the definition. He did not dismiss them. Someone asked him, which is the greatest commandment? Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your body. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like unto it, that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments, all of the law hangs. Now, I did not quote it, and now that I did not quote it exactly word for word, but you get the idea. Jesus said, on these two commandments, all the law hangs. And he is misunderstanding the term fulfilled. And I have covered this in my 10 Commandments video, but I will briefly go over it. Fulfill doesn't mean dismiss. For that verse that he's trying to use there, think not that I've come to do away with the law, comma, but instead I've come to fulfill. Jesus said it in that verse. He did not come to do away with the law. There is a difference between doing away and fulfilling. And, of course, that is what I was trying to get through his thick skull. And I have actually quoted that verse right here. He did not come to destroy. He sees it, but he does not understand. And then I, of course, once again point out to Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 10. This seems to be whenever you are in constant debates, you know what are the constant arguments, and so you know what verses to then go to. Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 9, that says, we are saved by grace through faith, that not of works shall we boast. Then verse 10, because so many people loves to not want to add to verse 10, says, then we are called to do good works. We are saved by grace through faith first. Then we are called to do good works. And by this time I've had enough, and I did all caps. Goodbye. You can't handle the truth, as from that of the movie A Few Good Men. Because then you'd have to admit that you are cursed and blah blah. Okay. The thing is that he did not take the time to even watch the video that I created to prove the Ten Commandments are still valid. That tells me he doesn't want to learn. Yes, I can handle the truth. The problem is that I wish I could teach that the Ten Commandments were no longer valid, but I can't do that. I wish I could say the Ten Commandments are no longer valid, because I would love to then break to then break a few of them, but it is me knowing that the Ten Commandments are still valid that I hold to that truth. That I hold to that truth. I have studied when someone told me the Ten Commandments were still valid. And he gave a lot of verses because many years before that I was told like a lot of other people that the Ten Commandments were done away at the cross. They were nailed at the cross. And let me show you what verse they are pointing to. Uh-oh, what happened? Huh, that window just closed. Well, darn. Well, then I will look it up because I have it on a meme that I have created. So I'm needing to go. And folders and okay. I will go down. Let's see here. Word study ordinances. Okay. I think I found the one. So I need to open it to a larger screen. Yep, right here. Okay. So here it is. So here it is. Word study ordinances as found in Colossians 2:14. So let's first go to the verse. Colossians 2. And let's go back to the KJV. 14. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. Two key words here: handwriting and ordinances. It says nothing about the commandments, but yet people want to infer the commandments here. So this you can do that of a screenshot and then take a look at this a little bit later. But finger versus hand. Okay. So then I have done pointed to him that of his error way back up here. This is where it says the finger of God versus the hand of Moses. Is there a difference? Yes, there is a difference. A big difference. The Ten Commandments was the only thing written by God Himself. Oops, I guess this also punches holes in his theory right there because he wants to try to say that the Ten Commandments were nailed to the cross whenever Colossians 2:14 says nothing of the sort, only the ordinances, the handwriting. Then, let's see here. His last comment there was Thursday, 12:42 p.m. Then, okay, at 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 11 minutes later, he wants me to come back, and I guess I need to. Whoops. Okay. Well, I can't seem to. But you are not able to see it. But he says I can't post it unless you do come back. I overreacted, he said. Okay, yeah, you did. Especially when I was proving to it verse after verse after verse, and you was only talking about it with only Romans 7, verse 6. So let's stop here and take a look at Romans 7, verse 6, and see if by chance he took it out of context, which I'm sure he did. But let's read just that verse only. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit, and not in the oldness of the letter. Okay. The very next verse, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lest except the law said, Thou shalt not covet. But sin taking occasion by the commandment wrought in me all manner of consciousness. For without the law, sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once, but when the law commandment, but when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. And the commandment which was ordained to life I found to be unto death. For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore, the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just, and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid, but sin, that it might appear sin working death in me, by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal. Two present tense words, and Paul was writing years after the crucifixion. Think about that for a few minutes. But let's go back to the first part, before verse 6. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, for I speak to them that know the law. Know is another present tense word. Known would be past tense, or will know is future. How that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. Oops. So yeah, I would say that he took Romans 7 verse 6 way out of context. Wouldn't you say? For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, and she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no, so she is no a she is no adulteress, though she is be married to another man. Wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Christ, that ye should be married to another. Okay, we are talking the Old Testament and the New Testament. We are talking about a covenant where that, and okay, let's stop right here because oftentimes almost every single Bible just uses the law and not of that of the ordinance or the it is of lesser commandments. So that we are kind of lost on which is which. But here, all the way up to verse 6, it is talking about which law? A woman cannot divorce by the laws of by that of the ordinances. Okay. So when we put verse 6 into context, we see Romans 7 1 through 6 is speaking about the ordinances. Then verse 7 speaks about the commandments when we put it in proper context. So he is taking a verse. Oh, come on, there we go. He is taking a verse that was meant to be talking about the ordinances and trying to say it is meant for the commandments. Yes, the Ten Commandments talks about talks about do not commit talks about do not commit adultery, and I have a video on about the different types of different types, whereas this is specifically speaking about husband and marriage. Marriage is a part of the ordinances. There is a type of a there is a type of adultery specifically to marriage, but that is not the only type of adultery. Okay? So let's keep this in mind. Romans 7 1 through 6 is talking about the ordinances. And even if by chance you want to see it is mentioning about the Ten Commandments. If you want to look at it that way, which is fine too, let's go back to the verse. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. I can see how this can be viewed as the husband being Christ because he is the testator. Okay? So, with him dying on the cross, some people can view it as an end to the commandments. But here is the thing, if you're going to view it that way, all of it was done away with. However, it all was renewed as far as for the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments was renewed in the new covenant. Oops. Whenever we see verses after verse after verse after verse after the crucifixion, confirming the Ten Commandments are still valid in the new covenant, that basically brings to a null the concept that the Ten Commandments are no longer valid. Because even here, Paul goes on in verse 7 and goes on and on and on. Do me a favor. Read Romans chapters 5 through 9 as one whole unit. Whenever you read Romans chapters 5 through 9 as one whole unit, you will see that Paul is saying in a few hundred words that the Ten Commandments are still valid, are still valid. The Ten Commandments was never done away with. God wrote them with his own finger. But he wants me to come back. I have since then blocked him. I don't know if I'm going to stay in the group because as of this date, October 22nd at 14 p.m. of 2019, he still hasn't kicked me out even though I have posted that in the chat room. Okay, who cares? Okay, let's see if I'm still in there. No, let's go home. This guy have asked me, or have asked that I be a friend on Facebook, and I check them out. Okay, let me see if. Okay, well, it seems like that time is good. I think. Here we go. So many instances. go. And it will go. Okay, well, for the last 40s now, I am having some serious issues with my TV and also internet. And there's supposed to be a cop guy coming out tomorrow to fix it. I hope that he finally does fix it. Okay, so the thing about what type of friends we really should keep. We are told to not to be unequally yoked, and if they have a absolute doctrine wrong, maybe we should find other friends. There are absolute doctrines. There are other doctrines that is not a big deal to God, but is for some strange reason and for example, like for example, the Church of Christ says we are to sing a okay, whereas practically every other denomination has at least some kind of instrument in with the worship. There is nothing wrong with either. They both supported in Scripture in both Old and New Testament. So even though I am Church of Christ, I do not adhere to that specific doctrine because it's taught both ways in Scripture. That is not a salvation issue doctrine. Are the, are the Ten Commandments valid today? Is as important a doctrine issue as did Jesus die on the cross and rose 3 days later? The answer to both of those is yes. Jesus did die on the cross for our sins and rose 3 days later. And yes, the Ten Commandments are valid. Those are essential doctrine. And yes, doctrine is in the Bible, especially the New Testament. Read towards the end of the Sermon on the Mount. Let's see if we can find that real fast. Is in Matthew for Matthew 6, I believe. The Lord's Prayer, fasting, to be anxious. Okay. Okay. And it came to pass when Jesus had ended these things, the people were astonished at his what? Oops. Because people once tried to argue that word doctrine isn't in the Bible. What will you read? I see it's very clear right here. Doctrine, the word doctrine is in the Bible. Even if it wasn't, the concept itself is in the Bible. Keep in mind that some of the ancient words used today was not around in the first century. And so therefore we sometimes have to take a look at the concept of the word and look at the concept in the Bible. We often find that they do meet. Thank you, and have day. But in the end, I don't know if I should return because he is asking me to come back and that he claims that he have overreacted. We all do make mistakes, although there are some of us that insist that they don't ever make one, and the ones that claim that they don't ever make a mistake, I first tell them that they are not God. Secondly, let's go out to a lake and see how well you can walk on water. That is an easy test, I would think, but then I could be wrong if that is an easy test. But here is the thing, no human is perfect. And so I don't know if I should stay in the group and if I should reopen a line of communication with him. I will have to pray on it a little bit more and then let God guide my thoughts on it. Again, thank you and have a good day.